What up, YouTube Gen X? Okay, I'm done with the whole talking about money, character, um, leadership, decision making within the whole relationship context. I think I've said how I feel, and I've made my points clear. People can take what they want to take from it. Um, for me, I think Soul and Black has made great points, especially in his response to my video, Hold On, What If Money's Not Enough, or whatever I called it. Willie Pete, um, I understand his perspective and I agree with it. And I believe that Solo has added some critical information as well. Now, some people are not understanding the conversation, and in my opinion, this conversation on this topic in terms of leadership, it's very complex. So if you're coming to the table with a very simplistic mindset, that sort of either or mindset or this sort of absolute mindset, you're not going to be able to follow along. Um, Soul and Black describes manhood and your ability to lead and be head of household as based off of, yes, your ability to go off and make money, but also based off of your ability to be a rational choice maker, so you can make choices that will benefit the family across the board. So that's something that you have to demonstrate apart from making money. And you can add in integrity and morality and character. Now, I agree with him completely. And that sort of definition of manhood in terms of where you want to be works, in my opinion, when you are in a patriarchal sort of culture where manhood is valued and everybody understands, the men and the women and the children understand that the man is the head. So in order for you as a young man to prove that you're worthy to be head of household and to lead a family, you have to prove that yes, you can go out and make money, but at the same time you have to prove that you can be a rational choice maker to the point where you know how to make choices that will ensure that your family is okay. And the women understand that that is what they're supposed to be looking for. They're supposed to be looking for men that can go off and provide for a family. Men that can make rational choices. Men who walk and conduct themselves in a certain manner. That's what Soul and Black is saying. Captain Solo has said, even if you're making rational choices, how many black women will acknowledge that as a skill and ability that is worth following? And that, in my opinion, segues into where Willie Pete is coming from, where he is saying that in the black community, we don't have all that. We're dealing with the matriarchy that is based off of the fact that the women are told to go off and get their money together, and the men are told to be docile, and you're looking at a world where black women don't change the status quo. So you have like multiple fronts going on where the men are told that it's okay to be under a woman. The women are told to go off and get their shit together so you don't need a man. You have white society that's more willing to give black women the job because they don't change the status quo. So you have this sort of matriarchy that's based off of the women having financial power. And they're not even looking at a man's ability to be a rational thinker. They're not really looking at a man's character at all. Excuse me, that's not being factored into the equation. And the women are saying, I'm the head honcho because my finances are together. What can you tell me? So if you're trying to deal with African American women, well, guess what you have to do? You have to be in a position where you're trumping her money because that's the language that she understands. And going back to what Captain Solo has said, even if you are this sort of rational choice-making sort of man, that's still not going to be enough. Because she feels like her money gives her power. It is what it is. That's why they're telling the men, oh, it's okay for you to be at where you want to be, right? So let me go off, kick ass in the courtroom, or kick ass in the workplace and in the classroom, and it's okay for you to be content. It's okay to have this sort of relationship where I'm kind of leading and you're not. That's the big problem. Why? Because once again, those women will complain about those men. How come we don't have our patriarchal men? And they want patriarchal men to fit within the sort of matriarchy, and that's not going to happen. So in order for you to even come through and get black women to buy into what you want, you have to be on that sort of, well, my shit is together. Clearly. Right? And there's no sort of competition or butting heads in terms of who's going to have the bigger dick when you talk about who's making money, yada, yada, yada. That's extreme, but it is what it is. Now, some people may say, I think you guys are going over the top. Not so much. Yeah, there's black women out there that get it. There's black women out there that understand the value of having the man at the top and the value of being in a patriarchal sort of system. There are black women that get it. But once again, is there enough of them that feel that way? I don't care about your baby mamas that somehow saw the light. I don't care about your older women that can't even bear me children anyways, who suddenly automatically see the light. So when it comes down to black women under the age of 27 with no kids that get the whole concept of looking at manhood, okay, in terms of his ability to go off and provide, but also his ability to be a rational choice maker, there's not too many of them. They're far and few. Even on my channel, I've tried to kind of bring these women out and try to engage in conversations to help connect these people, but even those women sometimes don't understand the reality. They'll sit back and say, there are good black women out here, and we're saying, yeah, that's true, but you have to do a whole lot more. But they're there, but there's just not enough of them. There's a lot of black women on bullshit. It is what it is. To the point where even you have black women that come from two-parent homes, they're like your Vanessa and Rudy Huxtables that are on some BS. That's how strong this matriarchal bullshit is. Especially when you have a lot of two-parent homes, right? Almost similar to how I grew up, where even the women were told, hey, go off and get your shit together so you don't need to be reliant on a man financially. I've told this to my mother plenty of times. You're telling the women, get your shit together so you're not dependent on the man, and the women take that as, oh, okay, so let me get my shit together, have my money, so that he can be under me. And I can call the shots here. So it's a big problem. It is a big problem that a lot of people don't understand. And in order to deal with African American women who have that viewpoint, and obviously you're not trying to fall under that sort of matriarchal sort of system, your only recourse is to make sure that your money trumps her money, if that's what you want to do. So the brothers that are talking about, black love, the black community, passing on shit to black children, yada, 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 well, guess what? That's what you have to do. That's the game that you have to play, because the women are dead set on holding on to this mentality of it's going to be a matriarchy, and I can justify it based off of the fact that my money is equal to your money, or my money is slightly above your money. And it's piss poor that you have to react that way, but it is what it is. That's why I've said before, there's certain shit that I am not going to do. I'm not going to change and operate in a certain way because I know that that's how the vast majority of black women operate. So if that means that, the black community is slowly going to die off, and the men that get it, the patriarchal men who get it, don't pass on their knowledge to the next generation of black men, then it is what it is. Because there's certain shit that I'm not going to do. But a lot of brothers don't understand. You got the brothers talking about, man, black men and women have to come together. We have to do this. We have to do that. Well, guess what? The women are saying, I'm not moving, nigga, until you can prove that you can trump me. It's very barbaric, but this is the nature of what we have, and I think that's what Willie P is trying to communicate. That we're dealing with a special scenario where the women aren't like the other women of different groups, where manhood is understood. Even in the community, we don't even have a definition of manhood. Manhood in the black community is so fucked up that it's not even funny. So fucked up. In a video I just talked about with hypermasculinity, the women complain about black men being hypermasculine, but if you're not hypermasculine, then you may be gay. Like, there's a lot of shit that's so fucked up right now. That in order for you to come through, and I don't want to say, but in order for you to come through and even attempt to establish some sort of order, some sort of patriarchal order in the black community, you have to come through and just dominate because your financial shit is together, where they have nothing on you. Because that's what they use to say, nigga, I'm not trying to fit in with your system. It is what it is. So if you're trying to deal within the confines of the black community, you have to understand that it's not traditional. So the viewpoints that Willie Pete has is very relevant. And after you factor in what Solo has said as well about even if you are this sort of rational choice maker, that's not even going to be valued because the women are so far gone. And the few black women that do get it, at this point, it's really up to hope and probability. Hopefully you run into one. Hopefully, fate has it in the cards where you bump into her and you guys hit it off, because that's pretty much what we are reduced to, because, you never know where they are. Like I said before, don't tell me about women who get it, who are baby mamas who magically understand or that the patriarchy is where they need to be, or your older woman that can't even have kids who's just down and out on some like, I understand about patriarchy and how a man needs to lead. Don't give me all that. You got a lot of younger black women on some like, I'm not getting with your system unless you construct me, which is very barbaric. That's why I have said that I'm at the point where, it is what it is. I'm not going to change how I grew up in terms of growing up in a traditional Solon black sort of context where manhood is based off of your ability to go off and provide, but it's also based off of the ability to be a rational choice maker. That's where I'm coming from. That's how manhood is defined. So for me, I'm not going to change my program. But Willie Pete is saying, if that's what you choose to do in terms of, I want a black family, yada, 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 well, that's the game that you're going to have to play. And it is unfair. That's why you have a lot of brothers that get frustrated and say, I'm not trying to deal with all this shit. So that's all I understand. And if I've misquoted them, hopefully they'll come through and correct me. But based off of what I gather from what they have stated in their videos, that's what I understand. And, if you're dealing with your more traditional culture where the women get that it's the patriarchy and they get manhood and where a man is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to operate, Solon Black has it dead on. You have to prove that you can be a rational choice maker. But when you're dealing with the black community, especially the segment of black women that don't come from two-parent homes, which is the majority, well, guess what? They're not going to understand that language. So if you're trying to keep it black, right, doing that whole black family thing, which is cool, you just have to understand what you have to do. Understand what you have to become. Don't come through trying to tell the women, oh, it's about my character, it's about this, it's about that, because they're not buying it. That's not enough for them. And we've seen what happens. They'll act like they accept it, but then turn around and shoot you down. How come you're not going off and doing what white men are doing? How come you're not going off and doing what other groups of men are doing? This is what they're saying. But then they're also saying it's okay for a woman to lead. It's okay to have this sort of joint leadership. You see the problem there? They're only really respecting the dude that's coming through and trumping them financially. It is what it is. And once again, to give credit to Solo, he talks about how, man, it doesn't even matter if you're a rational choice maker. Will they respect that? Will they honor that? Will they value that? No, not so much. So it is what it is. At this point, I'm done with the conversation. I feel like I've said how I feel, and I know that there's certain stuff that I am going to do, and there's certain stuff that I'm not going to do. There's certain things that I will do for the sake of the black family and black children and the future generation, but then there's shit that I will not do for the sake of it. And I'm at peace with that choice. So unfortunately, if the future of black relationships in terms of productive, progressive black men getting with black women and having kids just comes down to randomness, hopefully you can randomly bump into a relatively younger black woman who gets it, then so fucking be it. So be it. It is what it is. So once again, I feel like I've said everything I need to say on this topic. I think you have certain men that are not understanding the complexity of this conversation at all. And a lot of men are coming to the table with this sort of either or understanding or this absolute understanding. A lot of it is based off of who you're dealing with. And it is true in terms of how manhood is viewed and how manhood is defined. In other cultures, it's clear what manhood is, and as a young man, what you need to do to be considered to be a man and to be head of household. But in the black community, that's not there. We don't have a definition of manhood. It's screwed up. It's fucked up. The women are acting like this is the definition of manhood that they want, only to change up and switch up. Like, it's a mess. So the only way that you can come through and even hope to establish some sort of order is by you coming through and saying, listen, you have no financial holding over me. And you have to do that sort of forced submission, which, like I said before, I don't like to do because it doesn't feel right at all. That's the part that really sucks about this whole conversation. That change that you have to do, I don't want to do all that because it's bullshit. But people don't understand. When you're trying to deal with black women, it's difficult because you have to break that matriarchal sort of hold that has been so ingrained into the modern black culture. You have to break that hold, which may be impossible. It may be impossible. There may not be a solution for breaking it because it's that strong, like I said before, to the point where now you have black women that are coming from two-parent homes that are still falling victim to the bullshit. You have to break it, and unfortunately, you can't break it by simply having that sort of understanding that manhood is based off of you going off and providing, yes, but also you being a rational choice maker. Like, you can't come through with that same mindset. You're dealing with an extreme situation, so you have to come with an extreme sort of mindset, which is hard to achieve and is very difficult to do, but it is what it is. That's why you have black men that, quite frankly, do have their shit together, but they're still on some like, I don't know if I'm messing with black women because, with that being said, they're still not even looking at me and looking at the fact that I am this sort of rational choice maker. It's like the guy who's going off and he's a lawyer, and the black women are like, we're going to submit to you because you're making $200K a year. Versus him going off and dealing with another group, and it's just like, okay, you're making $200K a year, but also you seem to be this family man who makes rational choices and whatnot, so we want to follow you because we feel like, this is what we want. And this is the definition of manhood that we understand. And like, to me, that's more complete. Going back to how you want to be valued. I don't want to be seen as fit to be a leader simply because my wallet is bigger than her purse. You want to be valued based off of your ability to make rational choices, your ability to actually lead a family. That's how you want to be valued on that complete level. But it's just so much bullshit that, for me, I'm done. I'm really done with the conversation. Obviously, there's no absolute right or absolute wrong. Do what you feel is best for you, but understand what's going on. You got brothers talking about, black relationships with black women, but they're not understanding that the women are low-key saying, we're not following y'all because you're not doing what the white man is doing, or, you're not going off and building and being successful, yada, yada, yada. But then at the same time, they're telling you that it's okay to be under me. Oh, it's okay for us to be on the same level. But anyways, I'm done. Like I said, it's the conversation. I think it ran its course. It's very complex. It is what it is. Y'all take it easy. God bless.